The theme of prejudice and transformation lies at the very heart of the story about the rural girl who was humiliated on her first day at work but later revealed herself as the new CEO. Prejudice in this context refers to the quick judgment people make about others based on outward appearance, background, or perceived social status. When the girl first arrives at her new workplace, she is not immediately seen for her talent, intelligence, or leadership potential. Instead, her simple clothing, rural accent, and modest demeanor become the only markers that her colleagues or subordinates notice. They quickly categorize her as unimportant, someone who belongs to a lower rung of the hierarchy, perhaps even an intern or assistant rather than a figure of authority. This assumption is not only rooted in personal bias but also reflects how deeply ingrained social prejudices are in professional spaces, where appearance often trumps true capability. The prejudice is heightened by the contrast between the rural girl's background and the typical expectations of a modern corporate setting. Employees in such environments often expect leaders to exude power through expensive attire, polished language, and an air of confidence shaped by urban sophistication. When the girl walks in dressed plainly and speaking in a way that reflects her rural upbringing, it becomes easy for others to dismiss her. Some might laugh at her, others might look down on her with disdain, and some may even whisper behind her back, assuming she does not belong. These reactions reveal more about the biases of the workplace than they do about the girl herself. Prejudice blinds people, making them incapable of seeing the possibility that someone who does not fit their narrow definition of success could actually hold the highest position in the company. At the same time, the theme is not only about prejudice but also about transformation, both personal and collective. The transformation in the story occurs on multiple levels. On a personal level, the rural girl demonstrates a quiet resilience in the face of humiliation. She does not react with anger or vengeance when people belittle her. Instead, she carries herself with dignity, observing the behavior of those around her. This calmness is not weakness but rather the strength of someone who knows who she is and does not need external validation to prove her worth. Her transformation, then, is not about changing who she is but about revealing the power and authority she already holds. The moment she discloses her true identity as the CEO, it is not she who changes, but the perception of those who had prejudged her. On a collective level, the transformation is more dramatic. The very people who mocked her are forced to confront the reality of their actions. Their prejudice is exposed, and the humiliation they directed at her turns into shame they now feel themselves. This reversal is powerful because it illustrates how fragile prejudice is when faced with truth. What seemed like certainty, that the girl was insignificant, crumbles instantly when the true context is revealed. The employees experience an abrupt transformation in their thinking, realizing that leadership, intelligence, and power are not bound by appearance or background. This collective transformation is the moral backbone of the story, showing how quickly shallow judgments can be overturned by a deeper understanding of a person's true identity. The theme also touches on the broader social commentary about the divide between rural and urban identities. In many societies, rural backgrounds are associated with simplicity, lack of sophistication, or even ignorance, while urban settings are linked to progress, power, and refinement. By placing a rural girl in the position of a CEO, the story challenges these stereotypes directly. It forces readers to question why society undervalues rural roots and why humility or simplicity is often mistaken for weakness. The transformation here is not only about the workplace dynamics but also about breaking down larger cultural biases that elevate one kind of background over another. The rural girl's rise to power is symbolic of the idea that greatness is not confined to cities or wealth but can emerge from any place, even the most modest of beginnings. Another layer of transformation lies in the lesson that the girl's presence teaches to the organization itself. Companies thrive not just on profit or efficiency but on the culture they cultivate. A workplace where prejudice goes unchecked becomes toxic, discouraging diversity and silencing talent. By revealing herself as the CEO, the rural girl not only surprises her employees but also sets a new standard for the culture she intends to build. Her very identity becomes a declaration that respect must be extended to everyone, regardless of how they look, where they come from, or what assumptions people may hold about them. In this way, the transformation is institutional as well as personal, showing that leadership is about reshaping environments as much as it is about holding authority. The narrative of prejudice and transformation also resonates on a universal human level. Everyone, at some point, has been misjudged or underestimated based on superficial factors. The sting of being looked down upon is familiar, and so is the satisfaction of proving one's worth when underestimated. That is why the story strikes such a chord. It reflects a shared human experience of moving from invisibility or humiliation to recognition and respect. The girl's journey is not unique to her rural background, it becomes a metaphor for anyone who has ever been dismissed unfairly. Her transformation into a recognized leader symbolizes the triumph of truth and character over assumption and bias. In exploring this theme, the story ultimately suggests that prejudice is not only unfair but also short-sighted. It prevents people from seeing potential, blinds them to hidden strengths, and creates environments where appearances are valued more than substance. Transformation, on the other hand, comes as a revelation that shakes these assumptions and forces a reevaluation of values. The rural girl's story captures this arc perfectly, moving from the low point of humiliation caused by prejudice to the high point of revelation that sparks transformation in the minds of everyone who witnesses it. The message of inner strength and humility is central to the story of the rural girl who is humiliated on her first day of work only to later be revealed as the new CEO. When someone comes from a modest background, especially one that does not align with the expectations of a corporate environment, it is easy for others to underestimate them. Yet what makes the rural girl's journey powerful is not just the surprise of her identity but the way she carries herself throughout the humiliation she faces. Her silence in the face of mockery is not weakness, it is a sign of deep inner strength. She knows who she is, what she has achieved, and where she stands. The opinions of others, no matter how harsh or unfair, cannot shake the foundation of her self-belief. This quiet resilience becomes a mirror reflecting the immaturity of those who try to belittle her, while also setting her apart as someone with true leadership qualities. Humility adds another layer to her character. Despite being the CEO, she chooses not to flaunt her status upon entering the workplace. She could have walked in with an entourage, wearing the most expensive clothes, making it immediately clear that she was in charge. Instead, she arrives simply, blending in with the employees, perhaps even being mistaken for someone on the lowest rung of the company ladder. This choice reflects humility, the rare ability of a leader to step back from the symbols of power and meet people where they are. True humility is not about denying one's accomplishments but about carrying them lightly, without arrogance. By entering quietly and allowing herself to be seen as ordinary, the girl demonstrates that her focus is not on being worshipped or feared but on understanding the people and the environment she will lead. This humility becomes even more significant in the context of the humiliation she faces. When people laugh at her accent, mock her clothes, or assume she is unworthy of respect, she does not respond with anger or defensiveness. Many in her place might have felt the urge to immediately reveal their identity, silencing the mockery with authority. Yet she restrains herself, allowing the situation to play out. This restraint is a form of strength, for it is not easy to tolerate insult when one holds the power to stop it instantly. Her choice to endure the humiliation reveals an extraordinary level of self-control. It shows that her ego does not dictate her actions, instead, her values and vision guide her. She understands that her dignity is not diminished by their words and that true respect cannot be demanded but must be earned over time. Inner strength, in her case, is deeply connected to her background. Growing up in a rural environment likely exposed her to hardships, challenges, and struggles that shaped her resilience. Rural life often requires perseverance, adaptability, and resourcefulness, qualities that prepare a person to face adversity with grace. The girl brings these lessons into her corporate role, proving that strength is not always loud or aggressive but can also be quiet, steady, and enduring. Her ability to rise above mockery without letting it break her spirit is a reflection of this resilience. She embodies the idea that true strength is not about overpowering others but about remaining unshaken in the face of trials. Her humility also conveys a powerful message about leadership. In many workplaces, leaders are expected to maintain distance from their employees, using status as a way to command authority. But the rural girl demonstrates a different approach, one that values empathy and connection over hierarchy. By not immediately asserting her power, she places herself on the same level as everyone else, at least for a moment. This sends an implicit message that respect should not be tied to titles or wealth but to the way a person treats others. When she finally reveals that she is the CEO, the shock is greater because it contrasts so sharply with the assumptions everyone had made. Yet it also leaves a lasting lesson. True leaders do not need to shout about their power, their presence and actions speak for them. The combination of inner strength and humility creates an inspiring balance in her character. Strength without humility often becomes arrogance, while humility without strength can turn into passivity. She embodies both, showing that the two can coexist in a way that elevates leadership to its highest form. Her strength ensures that she cannot be broken by insults, while her humility ensures that she does not misuse her power to belittle those who mocked her. Even in the moment of revelation, she does not humiliate them in return but allows the weight of their own behavior to teach them a lesson. This approach demonstrates emotional intelligence, a quality essential for leadership but often overlooked in favor of technical skills or authority. The story also conveys the message that humility is not weakness but wisdom. Many mistake humility for a lack of confidence, assuming that someone who does not advertise their accomplishments must not have achieved much. Yet the rural girl proves the opposite. She has achieved more than anyone expected, but she does not feel the need to boast. Her humility allows her to observe, to learn, and to understand the people she will lead before stepping into the role of authority. It is through humility that she gains insight into the culture of the workplace, seeing firsthand how employees treat those they perceive as powerless. This knowledge becomes valuable for her later decisions as CEO, shaping policies that promote respect and inclusivity. The inner strength she demonstrates also resonates on a universal level. Everyone faces moments of underestimation, mockery, or dismissal. The instinct is often to fight back, to prove oneself immediately. But her story suggests that strength sometimes lies in patience, in the quiet confidence of knowing that time will reveal the truth. By not rushing to correct the perceptions of others, she allows them to expose their own prejudices fully. When the truth finally emerges, it carries far greater impact than if she had revealed it at the beginning. The delayed revelation magnifies the lesson for those who judged her and highlights her ability to rise above temporary humiliation without being consumed by it. In essence, the message of inner strength and humility in the story transcends the specific circumstances of a rural girl in a corporate office. It becomes a universal call for people to recognize that dignity is not granted by others but carried within, and that humility does not reduce one's greatness but instead enhances it by keeping it grounded. True power is not in forcing others to respect you but in remaining composed and authentic until they recognize your worth on their own.